Welcome, welcome, welcome. What's going on, Miguel? I'm glad you are here with us. And you know how I like to start every show. I like to start every show by asking, how have you been?
I have been great, except for the first 38 seconds of the show because it kind of stalled a little bit, and I thought we were having technical difficulties. There was a long, dramatic pause.
Really?
It was because the clock started going, and I was like, "All right, he should be talking now," and he's not.
Oh,
So,
you know what? Why I just, that's embarrassing. I did this whole thing just now, and I forgot to unmute my mic. I did this whole thing while that picture was up there. I did this whole thing.
well,
This
restarted
whole
it.
thing just
So,
now.
so start off again,
All right,
and
let's do it again. Here we go. Here we
in
go. We're
three,
gonna
two,
do it
one.
all over again. Let's do it this way. Here we go. Wait, are you telling me it's not working again, Miguel?
It just started. It literally just started. So whatever you just clicked just at that moment, it came
It,
out.
it should have. Okay. Well, if you couldn't, anyway, let me just go ahead and say it now. Now that I know it's where I guess I messed up twice. I thought it was working anyway. Players mess up. It is what it is. But welcome to the Check Swing Podcast with Miguel and myself. We are here. Today's the day that we reveal our final spot of the Mount Rushmore of baseball. And I don't even know who those four guys up there. I don't know. I'm not familiar with them because we're putting baseball players up there today. It's going to be an outfielder, an infielder, a catcher, and a pitcher. And we still have less than 27 minutes left for you. Oh, and there you go, right there. We still have less than 27 minutes left for you to vote on the picture that you want to see on the Check Swing podcast or on our Mount Rushmore. We have one more spot. It's going to go over Lincoln's face. Yeah, I recognize him from the $5 bill. It's going to go over Lincoln's face, and this will be our Mount Rushmore. So far, you have representing the outfielder. You have Barry Bonds, and it looks like he's been in the lunchroom in this picture. You also have for your infielders Jackie Robinson, and there was a lot of debate behind this one between him and some of the other second basemen that were available to go on to this part. Last week we revealed Ivan Pudge Rodriguez as voted on by you, the viewer, the consumer, that the he will have the catcher's spot. And actually, it was a last minute vote. It was we actually had to decide it during the show because it was a tie between him and Roy Campanella. But today is the day that we reveal the pitcher spot. Like I said, you have until 9:30 to complete the voting and go ahead and get those in. But let's have a recap of who the pitchers are that are in this category. Number one, Nolan Ryan played for 172 years within the league. He actually started playing close to 20 years before I was even born.
Yeah.
Man, it was 15 years before I was born, I think it was. Quick math, I'm not great at math, so if I'm wrong, oh well. But about 15 years before I was born, and I believe he ended 12 years after I was born. I was about to say after I died. That hasn't happened yet. Yeah, I would have messed all that up. Um, Also, Sandy Koufax. Sandy Koufax was a Brooklyn Dodger and a Los Angeles Dodger. No, he didn't play for two different teams. They just moved from Brooklyn to LA. If you don't know that, now you know. Sandy Koufax, a lefty, right there looks like he's throwing a knuckle curveball. I'm not really sure, but it looks like Sandy Koufax, one of the greats. We also have Randy Johnson, the big unit. Um, Hell of a pitcher. Great slider, great fastball, threw hard, hit triple digits. killed a bird on live TV, exploded the bird because the bird got in the way. The bird should have been minding their own business. Roger Clemens. Roger Clemens, best known as being a Red Sox and a Yankee, but he played for the Sox, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, and the Astros. Roger Clemens is one of them. We also have Greg Maddux, one of the greats from the golden era of the Atlanta Braves. I call that the golden era of the Atlanta Braves. They dominated the '90s for the most part in the National League. Uh, Probably were in the National League championship series like every year in the '90s. I can't even think of other teams ever in it. Cy Young, the pitching award for the best pitcher of the year, is named after this man right here. Played a very long time ago, over 100 years ago, and
And if we start a team, then we're gonna name them the St. Louis Perfectos. That's an awesome name.
the St. Louis Perfectos. Okay, it's not bad. It's not bad. Walter Johnson, probably if you are just a common baseball fan, um, not necessarily a baseball historian such as Miguel, um, you may not know about this great Walter Johnson. Played close to, well, actually
21 years.
over 100 years ago as well.
Yeah. Ah, oh my
Um,
God. You're right.
but he played for the Washington Senators, 1924 World Series champion, and just another great 417 wins. Okay, 531 complete games, 110 shutouts. He had a rubber arm. He had a rubber arm. So those are your those. That's who you can select from, and I'm going to go ahead and if you still need to vote, I haven't voted yet. I just sent the I just put it in the chat. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, I just put in the chat where you can vote for the for the picture that you want to be on the Mount Rushmore of the greats. And here's what we're looking at right now. Um, it looks like Cy Young is winning with 50% of the vote over everybody. Everybody. Um, Nolan Ryan. Well, no, who is that? Nolan Ryan.
That's
Nolan
Nolan
Ryan
Ryan.
has
Nolan Ryan.
14.3% of the vote. Then you got Roger Clemens with 7.1, and no, that's not saying it. Walter Johnson also with 7.1% of the vote. Very interesting. Everyone else has a little bit less, but amazing that Cy Young has 50% of the vote there. Um, so definitely get your votes in by 9:30, because after 9:30 we will be revealing who is going to be the last spot on the Cy Young. Excuse me, on the Mount Rushmore. Maybe there's a little futuristic prediction there, but who's going to be on the last spot of our Mount Rushmore? And speaking of voting, okay, let's talk about the Hall of Fame, because there's some Hall of Fame voting coming up in about a little over a month. Okay, it's in December. There's going to be some voting being done, or some nominations, or something of that nature. But I have a problem, and if you had a chance to see the Intelligent Ignorance podcast on Saturday with Mr. R. Hunter and myself, I have a problem with the Hall of Fame voting for all the sports. Um, and my problem with the Hall of Fame vote, I believe it is flawed. I believe it is a flawed process. And here is why. To get into the Hall of Fame, and awards too, for that matter, not just Hall of Fame, but MVP awards and all like that, these things are voted on by reporters and writers and things of that nature. And I don't think that is the best way to go about it. I have been on record as to say that players, coaches, and Hall of Famers should be voting on these things. Um, when you are voting on something that, I mean, I'm not saying that writers and reporters don't know what they're doing, but what I am saying is they are not part of the game. They are not in the game as a player. They're not in the club. Now you might have some former players that are reporters and writers and stuff like that. I get that. But what I don't like is now you're leaving the Hall of Fame votes to somebody that might have a personal vendetta against a particular player. Okay. And Miguel, I know you've put together a little something to give us an idea of actually what goes into Hall of Fame voting. And we're going to take a look at that right now. You want to go ahead and break that down for us, Miguel?
So basically, in order to be eligible to become a Hall of Famer or to be on the ballot, I should say, because you have to meet certain criteria to even be considered to get on the ballot. So the first thing is a player must be an active player at some time during a period beginning 15 years before and ending 15 years prior to your election. Um, a player must have played in each of 10 Major League Championship seasons. Um, you have to be an active Major League player at least 5 calendar years before the election. Um, so there's kind of like a length criteria to gaining entry into, or I'm sorry, getting on the ballot for the Hall of Fame. Now, the way the baseball writers run their election, if you will, so an elector will vote for no more than 10 eligible candidates. So there's 10 people that they could potentially make it on a ballot. And basically, each player, in order to become a Hall of Famer or be elected to the Hall of Fame, has to get 75% of the writers' votes. So it goes back to kind of what you were saying, like writers. I'll give you a prime example of like bias, when it comes to sports writing. If you look at the movie, I always quote the movie 61. There was a underlying tone to the movie where there was like several baseball writers that were for Mickey Mantle because he was New York. So of course, in that race to get to 61, everybody was rooting for Mickey Mantle to the point that they turned on Roger Maris. Wanting they threatened to kill him. They wanted to go after his children, all because he was all business. He was a country boy, just wanted to play the game and go home. But the bias was real, you know what I mean? But to the point where when he did finally hit 61, they put the asterisk because, they still loved Mickey Mantle, who should have won, but they also loved Babe Ruth. So there's writers, I think, are too biased and emotional to make real concrete decisions, especially if it's really just about the number. So I kind of agree with you when it comes to the whole voting process. But and one thing I think you and I had talked during our meeting, um, voting also takes into account not only the player's record and ability, but also integrity, sportsmanship, and their character on and off the field, and their experience, that experience throughout their entire career. But again, it kind of comes down to a bias. For instance, like we look at the 93 Phils, Lenny Dykstra was probably one of the greatest hitters in that short period of time. And now, other than the fact that he publicly is a scumbag, there are several reporters that came out in the Philadelphia area that were like, well, he's been a scumbag all his life, and here's why. But they hid that from the public because the Phillies were winning. So it's all these kind of contradictory things, back and forth. And, it kind of, I don't see the justification in baseball writers being the only people that are able to cast these ballots and to make these votes. I think it has to be more inclusive in regards to players that have even played with these potential Hall of Famers and the fans.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it should be there should be a mix of current players, former players, current Hall of Famers. Um, case in point, we were talking about in the meeting. You have Barry Bonds, who is I say actually I think I used examples from a couple sports. So yeah, Barry Bonds, who should be a first ballot Hall of Famer in anyone's book, but he was not considered a friend of the media. And then of course there was the whole performance enhancing drugs thing, right? Um, and that is really, I think that's going to keep him off for a while. I really feel like if it was the performance enhancing drugs, that keeps you off for a while. But then the media tends to, they have the last laugh in in a lot of cases. You know, um, you have, they have the power of the pen. And then you have somebody like Terrell Owens. Okay, Terrell Owens should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. Okay, it took him three. It was on his third shot, if I'm not mistaken, his third shot that he got into the Hall of Fame. Um, and and there are others. Basketball doesn't seem to have the problem as much, so I can't really think of someone who should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer that wasn't. Um, just probably most people eligible for the Basketball Hall of Fame should probably have gotten in on the first ballot, especially the stuff like Dennis Rodman probably should have been in, as soon as he was eligible, probably should have been in. I don't think he was right away, but that just goes to what I'm talking about.
Yeah, partying with Kim Jong Un, I don't think is normally acceptable on in this side of the world.
I tell you what, partying with him, if he were a baseball player, would have probably kept him out of the Hall of Fame completely.
Yeah, he would
I
have
would
been
have kept him out
flowers.
of the Baseball Hall of Fame completely. But one thing that we were talking about, and we talk about this man on the show quite a bit. Actually, we referred to him. He's been your background pitcher and all like that. We talk about Dick Allen and Harold Baines. So, Miguel, tell me a little bit more about this whole thing here.
So this, I think, is a prime example of what you were talking about in regards to having committees or writers vote, right? So Dick Allen lost his eligibility to be a Hall of Famer several years ago because it was that window where he he just wasn't voted on by the writers. Um, so there's this Golden Era committee that came out, and I'll kind of segue with this. Tony La Russa is the current coach for the Chicago White Sox, who you see Harold Baines in that White Sox uniform, who was also Tony La Russa was his manager. Tony La Russa was on this committee to bring up several players that kind of fit this mold. They missed their chance at the 5 year window to be on the ballot. So this gives them kind of like that extra chance that Pete Rose had a couple of votes, a couple times, but obviously can't because of the gambling thing. So there was this one year where Harold Baines, Dick Allen, and I can't remember the other two players that were on this ballot, to potentially make it to the Hall of Fame. Harold Baines made the ballot to be a Hall of Famer. Dick Allen, I don't believe, got more than 10% of the vote. And a lot of it has to do with that reputation because Dick Allen didn't take no mess. So we'll segue it back. Dick Allen was a rookie in 1963 for the Phillies, right in the heat of civil rights, and he just wasn't having it. So there's certain things, like for instance, when he came up, people wanted to call him Richie Allen. He's like, Richie is a boy's name. I'm a man, and I've been called Dick all my life, so call me Dick. So the Phillies press compromised and called him Rich. So that was the kind of stuff that like he had to kind of endure and face. But he was mashing baseballs. He was rookie of the year, doing all these things. Now Howard Baines didn't really have to face all that. But I think this was a case of a buddy of his on a committee, writers kind of thinking, oh, well, he had kind of a cleaner history, quote unquote. So why not let him in? So let's break down the numbers, right? So here's Dick Allen next to the great Willie Stargell. And here's his stat line. So his WAR 50, just about 59. 350 home runs. Usually 300 home runs is kind of like the benchmark to get into the Hall of Fame. In an era where he had to face Bob Gibson, Steve Carlton when they were young, Nolan Ryan when they were young, facing, possibly the best era of pitching ever, he was able in his 15-year career to hit 292 with 351 home runs. Surprisingly fast, even though there were some injuries towards the end of his career with 133 stolen bases. Now we look at Harold Baines. Now you can debate whether the WAR stat means anything, but basically, um, that WAR stat, if it wasn't for the fact that his stats are kind of basic. Now, 384 home runs is nothing to really sneeze at. But compare that to the 15 years that Dick Allen played. Harold Baines played for 22 years. So it's safe to say the last 6, 7, 8 years, he was really just around padding stats, right? The other thing was Dick Allen didn't have the DH for 90% of his career, so he had to play the field, whereas Harold Baines played DH probably the last 10, 12 years of his career. And as you see there, so actually, let me go back one I forgot to mention. So Dick Allen won an MVP in 72, was Rookie of the Year in 64, 7-time All-Star. Harold Baines, 6-time All-Star, a Silver Slugger, and made it to the Hall of Fame. Never won an MVP. I believe the highest he came in the voting was maybe ninth. So if you break down the career stats, here's Dick Allen. So everywhere you see the black, that means that he led the league. And so there was a year he led the league in runs, in triples, of course strikeouts because he was a big bopper. There was 2 years he led in home runs. 1 year he led in RBIs, which was his MVP year. On base percentage, the man could always get on base. He was very good at pitch selection. Several years of good slugging percentage, right? Then we break it down to Harold Baines. Wow, what a career, right? Lots of numbers, lots of years, right? And it's hard to find anything that he led the league in, except for that one small stat all the way up in the middle right top in 1984. 1 year he led in slugging. That's it. He never hit more than 30 home runs in his career. He barely hit over 20 home runs, maybe 5 or 6 times. Only had 3 times where he had over 100. I'm sorry, he had two times where he only had he hit over 100 RBIs, and then that's pretty much it. Didn't strike out a ton, but again, we're looking at. I don't want to say we're. Again, all respect to Harold Baines. He was in the playoffs quite a bit, but when you compare it to Dick Allen, who's had better numbers and faced legends, not to say that Harold Baines didn't face 1 or 2 legends here or there, but it was kind of starting to get diluted by then, by his era. It's like, how is Dick Allen not in the Hall of Fame?
And Harold Baines also, kind of like you alluded to before a little bit ago. Harold Baines also played his entire career in the AL, which allowed for him to be a DH.
Correct.
And so that means he was faced. Now, did Dick Allen play in the AL at all?
Dick Allen won his MVP as a Chicago White Sox. He played 3 years with the White Sox, had 2 of the best years of his life, career-wise. So in his second year in the White Sox, that's when the DH was implemented in 73. So he played another year in 74, had a great year, actually retired, and then the Phillies actually called him to retire. So here another example of why he was hated, right? He retired from the Chicago White Sox in 74, right? Made this long, dramatic speech in the locker room. He forgot to file the paperwork because he had to file paperwork for retirement, right? Major League Baseball said, nah, your team still owns the rights to you. So the Chicago White Sox sold his rights to the Atlanta Braves, okay? Deep down
because he retired while he was still under contract.
Because he was still under contract, and it was a paperwork thing. He just didn't fill the paperwork. His thing was like, why should I have to file paperwork? I said I retire. Like what? Whatever. So Dick Allen said, "There ain't no way in hell I'm going down to the deep down south of Atlanta. If the racism was bad in Philadelphia, what makes you think Atlanta's any better, right?" So he didn't show up. He's like, "Nope, I'm not doing it." So Philadelphia surprisingly actually coaxed him out of retirement and in sort of a way kind of made it an apology for the way they treated him during the first tenure, his first 7 years in Philadelphia. So it was a homecoming, and he was older, wiser, and his first game, first at bat, he lined the base hit to left field, got a standing ovation, and he was part of the beginning of the '70s Phillies that started winning with Greg Luzinski, Schmidt, and Schmidt actually credits him, Dick Allen, for turning his career around. So he was slumping really bad, I think sometime in like 75, 76. And Dick Allen was like, "Listen, take a hit off the cigarette, man. You need to chill. You need to cool out. Baseball." That same day, he hit 4 home runs at Wrigley Field. So Mike Schmidt,
was it a cigarette?
Mike Schmidt hit 4 home runs. but he always credits, to this day, he always credits Dick Allen for bringing joy to the game and allowing him to play his game loose. You know what I mean?
You know what's funny? It's funny that you say that because I can remember when I was playing college ball. My first couple years, I really struggled. Like I really struggled with the college game. I really struggled because it was a lot more serious
Yeah.
than what I played previously, and I wasn't playing loose, having fun. And then we got this guy. This guy came in as a freshman. His name was Pete Maida. And if Pete's watching right now, I've told him this before. He played the game so loose and had fun. It kind of reminded me to have fun playing the game, and it helped me loosen up and really helped me improve my defensive game. Um, I played the game without the pressure of worrying about getting the start or getting benched or whatever. I just played, and I played better because of that. So for Mike Schmidt to say that about Dick Allen helping him out, that really it resonates with me because I was there. I was one of those guys that I needed to remember to have fun playing the game. I remind people that I coach, kids I coach, kids I train. Remember to have fun playing this game. Like it's very important. Like it's cliche, but it's very important at the same time. Have fun playing the game.
I wish I had a Peter Mayo when I went to my first college year, because what's the phrase? You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, and I think that was one of the things that I never did once I got to college. I was intimidated by college ball, and I just didn't try. Like I just knew there's no way I'm gonna match this competition. So I removed myself. I got into my own head, and there was nobody there to say, "Yo, just try." You know what I mean? And not that I don't have any regrets, because I think everything kind of came full circle, because you and I are coaching, and still coaching down in Maryland, and so I think it came full circle. But I think I'll be able to help someone else out who's having that like tweener moment of getting over the hump. Can I really do this? But I always think back, man, I was always told I had quick hands, and I was kind of short and stubby, but I was aggressive, stuff like that. If I had just made the attempt, or had what do you say? His name was Peter Parker. What was his name?
Pete Maida, Mayta.
Gotcha. So you're an inspiration, Pete, wherever you are.
And actually, I'm not going to put it out. I'm not sure what he does right now, but I do believe he's still dealing with athletics. So shout out to my man Pete Maida. It's 9:30. The voting has officially closed for our final spot, the pitcher spot on the Mount Rushmore, and let's see what the stats are looking like now.
There is the current stats right now.
And it looks like Cy Young has even more of the vote now. And Nolan Ryan is pulling up a far second with 12.5% of the vote. Cy Young with 56.3% of the vote. and everybody else percentage of the vote is not enough to register. for,
Do,
for
do
lack
you
of a better term.
do you want to make the vote final, or do you want to extend it a little longer?
No, let's make it final. That's it. They had till 9:30.
All right. So Cy
Mhm.
Young.
It's 9:30. So I'll go ahead and take that out, and I'll give you a moment to put together our final thing. Um, so when you talk about the Mount Rushmore,
Hmm.
right? Oh, are we going to talk about Dick Allen some more?
Well, I was gonna just close them out, but we can move on to just get into like the whole reputation thing. But we can move on from it.
Oh well, yeah. We can get into the whole. Actually, I have because this is what I wanted to do before we revealed it. So I'm going to take this out for right now. I actually had a trivia question for you,
Oh man.
and I
Okay.
don't think that you're going to get it. And if you do get it, and can I just want to give a quick shout out to Coach Dan Singley. He always is responsive and giving us some good information. And he's a good guy too, good guy as well. Coach Dan
Yes, he
Singley.
is. Yes, he is.
Um, sent over some information prior to the show starting. We were going through it, we were looking at that. So shout out to you, Coach, man. We really appreciate you. Always been a good dude. But I have one for you, Miguel.
Juan Samuel. Are you serious?
No, no, I'm not. I'm not.
Yes.
I'm not serious.
I was gonna say.
So, me being an HBCU grad, when I came across this, I I said, I wonder if Miguel knows this. And when I came across it, I was actually shocked to see it. But I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it from here. And I want you to, if you can, name the player and the school. Well, I don't expect you to know the school,
Okay.
but if you know the player and you know the question, you might know the school. So I'm going to give it to you like this. He was a graduate from HBCU and the only HBCU grad to ever be named World Series MVP. Any clue who that might be? I can give you a couple hints.
Okay. Uh, what are the hints?
Now,
So
these hints are pretty good for you. Like they're pretty good. Like you might be able to get it if I tell you this stuff because I know how you study the game. So he hit 3 home runs in 5 games. I'm not going to tell you the year of the World Series unless you need another hint. But he hit 3 home runs in 5 games and was named the MVP of that World Series.
what
And don't you be over there googling
I'm writing.
or
I write.
yahooing
Oh Yahoo. Yahoo.
or binging,
Uh,
whatever.
is this gentleman, was he on an American League team or a National League team?
When he won the MVP,
Yeah, that whatever that World Series MVP.
so, I have to think he was on a National League team just by the picture that's posted here. But I'm going to look that up. But I believe he was on the National League team. Yes, he was on the National League team.
National League team, HBCU, National League.
I
Uh,
I
how?
can
Go ahead.
I was going to say I can give you the year of the World Series.
Okay, give me the year.
1969.
Tommy Agee.
No.
Cleon Jones?
No. Let me find out you know the whole. Do you know what team won in '69?
It was the Mets. They beat the Baltimore Orioles in 5 games.
Damn. Yeah, that's right.
But you said
And now I'm looking at this, and now this is where I'm getting the information from. So
but you said he's a Met, right?
yes,
I'm trying to go through the list of all the black players on the Mets, and I'm trying to think who I'm missing.
now I'm going to double check this because I don't want to be wrong. I'm going to double check.
I thought it was Tommy Agee because I thought he was the one. Because I know there was a player that made like these great catches in center field. There was like 2 or 3 really big catches that he made, and I thought he came up clutch with those home runs.
No, that's not what I have here.
That's not what you have,
That's not what I have here.
and not Jones, right?
No. Like
Last,
for the fact that you're getting it wrong, like I feel like I'm getting it wrong now too.
you want me to check?
You can check it after after I tell you who it is.
Seriously?
Yep.
Oh, wait a minute. Who? I'm trying to go around the
Oh, no,
infield.
it's official. It was him. It's correct.
Uh, Swoboda in right, AG in center. It's got to be a left fielder, and I'm forgetting his name.
What if I told you it was not a left fielder?
It was not a left fielder, so it was a infielder.
Let me just double check because according to this picture I'm seeing, he does not have on an outfielder's glove.
He had a first baseman's glove, didn't he?
It was not an outfield glove.
Was he a first baseman?
He so that it's let me just double check because I don't think so, but I know that it's very possible he could have been a first baseman.
You gotta have this information.
Listen, I'm not you. I'm not you. I kind of thought you were going to get it, so I didn't even really look it all up. But
because the only other person I could think of that hits like
yes,
that, but
yes, he was a first baseman.
who was the first baseman on that damn team?
I actually thought he was a catcher, but he was a first baseman.
No, the catcher was Grote. Oh my god. I think that's the person I was thinking of, but for some reason I thought he was the left fielder, and that was Cleon Jones. Oh my goodness, that's gonna drive me freaking nuts.
I'll give you one more minute. Let me give you one more minute to get it. I'll give you to 9:40.
He was a first baseman. I'm looking right at him.
He hit 3 home runs in 5 games.
Right, because it was a 5-game series. Tug McGraw was on that team, and Nolan Ryan was on that team.
I don't think either one of them went to a HBCU.
Correct.
Just guessing. 20 seconds. Give me 20 seconds.
Oh, wait. George, Tim, Frankie, Don.
5 seconds.
Don Clemens, Clendenin, Don Clendenin. Am I saying his name right?
There you go, right there. Don Clendenin, MVP of the 1969 World Series, a Morehouse grad.
Wow, I did not.
Class of '56 from Morehouse.
I did not know that.
And
Awesome.
and if you look at the glove, that was my confusion there. What position he played?
It
That
looks
looks like a catcher's mitt.
It looks like a catcher's mitt. It looks like a catcher's mitt.
But yeah,
Wow.
I am happy that I partially stumped you because you eventually you did get it.
So
But
you saw where I got mixed up because Cleon Jones was the left fielder, so of course Don Clem. You know what I mean? I got the Clem. I got the Leons wrong, or the Clarence. I got it wrong.
it's all right. It's all right, but you kind of killed it. So
You seem blown away of the fact that I knew who won the World Series that year.
you not only knew who won, you knew who was in it, and you knew the series number. Like you knew it was 4 games to 1.
Yep.
How did you just pull? Like I don't know. I I have to think about who won the World Series last year, and I have no idea how many games it was in. I do remember it was the Dodgers. Did they sweep? I don't
No.
remember. But you remember from the World Series, then you weren't even born then, but you remember the series from 1969 and who was in it. Now, I
Yep.
used to be like that.
Right.
I'm no longer like that.
I bought a baseball almanac one year, and I bought a baseball almanac
And
in
you
like
just and
'96.
you just
Yeah.
soaked in all that knowledge.
Yeah, and then you know what it was? There was a show on Prism. Okay,
Wow. Mm-hmm.
baseball's greatest games. It was hosted by Steve Garvey,
Mm-hmm.
and it used to be on. It when I first started watching it, it was on at like 1 in the morning on like a Saturday. And I think the first game that I saw was like it was Game 7 of the World Series in '65. It was the Dodgers versus the Twins, and Koufax had pitched Game 7 after losing Game 1, and I think he lost. I think the first game, and then blew everybody away, won 1-0. Allegedly, he threw like 180 pitches, in that game. He beat Jim Cott, total. But he won. He won that World Series 1-0. I was just in awe of. Like from that point on, I just wanted to see every old game I possibly could. And then I saw like the when the Phillies played the Astros, and I saw a couple games there. I just felt that's when I really started to kind of really love baseball, just that whole history aspect.
I can dig it. I can dig it. Are we ready? Are we ready for the reveal of the entire Mount? Are the numbers changing even more now?
Yeah, I think there was a mad rush. There was a slight change.
Oh, let's see. Ooh, ooh, it got really interesting there.
Yeah.
So Cy Young still holding it down with 40% of the vote, but then here comes Nolan Ryan sneaking in there with 22.7% of the vote. Randy Johnson 13.6, and who was that? Sandy Koufax with 9.1% of the vote. So the votes are coming in. The votes are coming in. Y'all can keep voting if y'all want to. I like it. Keep it coming. keep it coming. Y'all go ahead and keep voting. I'm just saying, go ahead and keep voting. We send those surveys out for them to be voted on. So
There you go.
the whole point. But we're going to go ahead and reveal our Mount Rushmore. And as we know, Barry Bonds, as we showed you earlier, Barry Bonds was voted by you in the outfielder spot. Jackie Robinson was voted by you in the infielder spot. Um, Yvonne Pudge Rodriguez was voted by you in the catcher spot. And of course, coming up in the pitcher spot is who we got.
Cy Young. Cy Young held strong. Hold on. Wait. Yep. So there's been no change in the last since we cut off the voting. So this is final now. It is Cy Young officially.
Cy Young will be rounding out the final spot on our baseball Mount Rushmore. I want to thank everybody that took the time to vote, everybody that participated in the voting, everybody that participated in the conversation. I send out the surveys, I text people, and they come back and they say, oh, no, such and such in there. No, like somebody texted me tonight, like, where's Bob Gibson? I was like, hey, we got to watch and find out. Let's see. There was one that said, I think when we did the outfielders, they said, yeah, Ken Griffey Jr. should be the guy. And a lot of people, we got a lot of feedback in different forms, and we appreciate everyone for giving us the feedback and voting and doing all the things and really supporting the show as a whole. And we definitely appreciate you because we don't just do this for us. We do this for the baseball fans and the sports fans and the historians. And we got our own in-house baseball historian, and he has on a Hilldale Daisies jersey, right? So if you look at that jersey right there, Hilldale, that is a team that played here in the Philadelphia area, actually in Delaware County, in Yaden/Darby. That's where their home field was, and he has number 5 on, which is Judy Johnson, who has been regarded as probably the best third baseman to ever walk the face of the earth, which was also seconded by Mike Schmidt, who is considered the best third baseman in Phillies history and maybe in Major League Baseball history. Judy Johnson was a Negro leaguer, and he played for many teams in the Negro leagues. The Negro League history is so interesting to me
It is.
because it is it reminds me of leagues like some leagues today, like men's leagues. Like you play in different leagues, different teams and stuff. Like it's very interesting. I do want to take a trip to the Negro League Hall of Fame one day, and just to see some of that history, some of that stuff that they have there.
Let, let's
Um,
let's do it. Let's do a show from there. Let's do a remote from there.
all right, I'll see if I can contact them and see what we can work out.
I like it.
Absolutely. All right, I guess it's time for this part of the show
You, you sound so dejected.
because this is the part of the show that makes me feel so dumb sometimes.
All right. So this player, like, just to segue, if this is the first time anybody's ever watching the show, I usually try to stump Coach Justin.
No, ain't no try.
I, listen. You got Charlie Huff last week on one attempt.
I got lucky.
Who
I
did,
got lucky. Like something triggered me to say it was Charlie Huff, and
you got him and Juan Pierre in one try.
Oh, we did one with Juan Pierre.
See,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
because you know why? Because you had the Marlins jersey, you had the Phillies jersey, you had the um was the White who did he play for before the Marlins?
White Sox.
Was it the White Sox? And did he play for the? Well, anyway, it just kind of stood out to me. But with this one, you have a 5-time All Star, 2001 World Series champion, Home Run Derby champion, and a Silver Slugger. 2001 is the year that the Diamondbacks won. They beat the Yankees,
Yes,
correct?
correct.
Luis Gonzalez. That boy bad. That boy is bad.
And those are he played for the Houston Astros, the Chicago Cubs, Detroit Tigers, Arizona. I forgot he also played for the Dodgers and Florida Marlins briefly.
How about that? I
And
got on the first guess. I think it's the first time I got on the last week I got on the first
uh,
guess too.
that one and Juan Pierre you got on the first guess. So this is your third time.
So we've been doing this since what, the summertime?
Just about, yeah.
So let me see, October 7th. So I guess one, every 3 months I get one with one guess.
So
We
you're
do 4 of these a month. Every 3 months, I've
so
gotten it
what,
with one
so
guess
what does that
on
mean?
average.
You're 3 for 18 or something like that.
Something like that. Something like that.
But that's Luis Gonzalez in both of his body forms.
Well, he looks skinny in both of them though.
Dude, you see the difference in his arms?
Yeah, I'm looking at the forearm. The forearms are huge
He
in the
went from
second one.
like yeah, he went from like Wawa cashier to like Popeye.
Well, is that his rookie
Yeah, that's his rookie.
photo?
That's his what is that? 94? Yeah, that's his rookie year.
He didn't know how to work out yet.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Rookie year in the pros is like freshman year in college. You don't know how to work out yet. Then you get put on a program, and then you start looking like the photo on the right.
Once he found that program, boy,
Yeah.
but he literally did like all arm and forearm and shoulder and like no ab work. It's just all arm
and his jersey's very big. I mean, was that like that? Well, it was 2001, so that's kind of how people wore things back then. I always like to wear my baseball uniform a little bigger for some reason. I always like to have the pant legs up and the pants be baggy, and I look like
You wear
stretching
your
out.
you wear your socks high?
I used to. You
Okay.
know what made me stop doing that?
What?
You know how you wear your socks high and then you gotta pull your pant leg up so you can show the socks. That elastic would start to get into my leg, and by the time I take it would hurt so bad taking that elastic off. I was just like, I don't even feel like dealing with that anymore.
You
I'm just
serious?
gonna let it. I'm just gonna. It would hurt so bad.
Oh, you're killing me.
It was
Killing
like
me.
the elastic was ironed into my leg because my calves were so massive. My calves were so massive. That's why. Well, we have before we go, we have an announcement to make for some future upcoming shows, in which we will be. I get. Are we going to leave it up to the people, or are we going to just do it ourselves?
I say, I mean, we can do both.
Let's do
We
both
can
because
be.
I love the interaction.
Gotcha.
I love the interaction. Well, what we're going to do, excuse me, what we're going to do. My wife made a delicious dinner today. I'm trying to keep on tasting it. Um, what we are going to do is Um, we are going to have our new segment is going. We're not doing Mount Rushmores anymore. We are going 4 for 4. Okay, and what 4 for 4 is, we're going to start with Philly teams, and we're going to give our best 4 players for each of the major Philly teams. We're not counting the Union in that yet because the Union haven't been around long enough to have. Well, they have been around long enough to have top 4, but there's different players on the Union like every year, so we can't keep up with it. But if you're a soccer fan, you may be able to help us out with that. But let's say this: with the Flyers, we're going to have 4 Flyers, we're going to have 4 Phillies, 4 Eagles, and 4 Sixers. Okay, and Miguel, which one do you think will be the most difficult to narrow down?
I think it'll probably be between Eagles and Sixers, just because, like Sixers, right? You got Dr. J, you got Wilt Chamberlain, you got Allen Iverson, and you know, to me, Wilt will always be will always kind of edge out Dr. J for the simple fact that when he came in, there was one set of rules, and he was so good they changed them because
Sure.
that's what they would do to players, especially of color, when they just blew everybody away. Because people don't realize the net was not always 10 feet tall. The free throw line. What
Really?
they raised the net. Look it up. You'll find
I
they raised
never knew that.
they
Really?
raised when Will Chamberlain started scoring the way he was. They raised the net, the height of the net, and they also, I believe, moved back the foul line.
Well, I do believe I heard that they moved the foul line back because he would actually dunk his free throws. He would leap
I
and
love
dunk
that.
his free throws. So that I have heard that, and also they widened the lane
They
because of
widen
him
the lanes, right? So that
because
and
he was able to straddle the lane.
right. So when you talk about like the greatest, like Michael Jordan, arguably is the greatest. But when you think about it, did he really change the rules of the game? Like he was great within the rules of the game. Now he was so great that he got towards the end of his career a lot of favorable calls. So he, kind of
Mm.
changed in that realm. But when it comes to like physically, like they had to stop this man so much that they had to change the game. That that's
You
always a
know
hard
another player
sell.
they had to do that for.
Say again.
You know another player they had to do that for.
Who's that?
Allen Iverson. When Allen Iverson
Yeah.
came to the league and was doing what he was doing
Mhm.
offensively,
Yeah.
they changed the rule. There was a time where you cannot play zone defense in professional basketball. They changed that to you can play zone defense in professional basketball with the intentions of keeping him out of the lane or making it more difficult for him to score once he got through. Because you playing man to man basketball, you could buy your guy.
Right.
I'm not going to say you're pretty much free to score, but it's not as difficult as somebody planted in their paint waiting to block your shot.
But didn't they also change the rule to allow you to take 12 steps before you can shoot the ball?
Unofficially,
That's what I
unofficial,
always. I'm like, how many steps did he take to the basket? I'm like 3, 7, 10, 12. I'm like,
unofficial rule change right there. But yeah, going forward, we're going to be giving you some just having some fun with it, getting our 4 for 4s together. Give us your 4 for 4s too. If you feel like you have a 4 for 4 that's better. Like going back to what Miguel was saying about the Sixers, you got Allen Iverson, you got Dr. J, you got Wilt Chamberlain. Some people might say Moses Malone. Some people might say Charles Barkley. Some people might say Andrew Toney. Some people might say Billy Cunningham, Hal Greer. Like it really depends. It really depends. For the Phillies, you got you immediately I think of Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins, right? But you also had Dick Allen. You also had Mike Schmidt. You also had Steve Carlton. You also had Roy Halladay. You had there's a lot of people. The Eagles. I don't even get started with I don't even know. Like, does Nick Foles go on there?
Nick Foles will probably go down as the
As an Eagles fan, I kind of want to, but if I was like a Lions
he
fan, like would that
Nick
matter to me?
Foles. Nick Foles had the two greatest games ever. Everybody always forgets. Remember the 7 touchdown game in Oakland?
Against the Raiders? Yeah,
It's the
they
Raiders.
paid us back for that dearly this weekend.
Absolutely. And then of course the Super Bowl because nobody, absolute dude. When I was watching that Super Bowl or getting ready for that Super Bowl, in my mind, I'm thinking about, man, who can we get in free agency to get us over the hump? Because I honestly thought I was hoping that it would be a blowout in either direction. But
Mhm.
the Philadelphia sports fan in me was like, keep it under 30. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of Philly fans thought about that, but then it was just like Philly sports has always had this habit of like whenever something magical or mythical happens, we always come up short. You always see like the Eagles games in the past, like you had the body bag game, you had the snowball game, you had the 4th and 1, and then 4th and 1 again, and
Oh, against
each
Dallas.
against Dallas, and you
Yeah.
have great moments in history, but every time it always fizzled out with a Randall Cunningham injury or coming up low against the Cowboys or a
Or a
fatal,
pass going through Alshon Jeffrey's hand,
you know
or whatever the case may be.
right. So it's like there's always that doom and gloom in Philadelphia sports. I mean, and that's something we can kind of like go through too. But yeah, I thought we were not gonna win.
Well, we got a lot to talk about in the coming weeks. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to getting a lot of feedback from the viewers and see what they have to say about that. But we're going to close out this show. I want to thank everybody for joining us for our reveal of the Mount Rushmore, and I want to thank you for being a supporter of the Check Swing Podcast and of New Twist Radio. Make sure you follow New Twist Radio on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at New Twist Radio, as well as joining our text club at 215-486-0335. That's 215-486-0335. And if you feel so inclined, you can we would like you to consider making a small donation, not direction, donation to New Twist Radio via Cash App, and that is $New Twist Radio. Okay, new NEW Twist TWIST Radio RADIO. Before we get out of here, Miguel, do you have any last words? All right.
You always catch me with that one. No, I yes, stay tuned. We'll be talking about a lot of things, not only the 4 for 4, but also some stuff that's happening. We try not to, get too political on the show, but there's certain things in the athletic realm that could pose a challenge to us as coaches, in the future. Just things that we have to consider, things we never thought of, before, and it's going to be a lot. And we'll have a guest on next week, an oldie but goodie, to help discuss some of those tough topics. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. So make sure you join us next week. It'll be a very interesting conversation, and it's a conversation that I feel is one that needs to be had today. It's just one of those things when things are going on. But you'll understand what I'm talking about next week when we get to that. We appreciate y'all for checking out the Check Swing podcast. For Miguel and myself, we are out of here. We'll talk to y'all next week. Peace.